Hi guys, welcome back to my Unreal Engine course. My name is Hussein Mashayikhi and we have another session of working on creating materials. And in this video, we're going to specifically work on creating the glass material. I just received an error. I don't know if you caught it, but it was telling me that I have been using too much of my GPU's virtual RAM. And it's because I have Photoshop open, I have a couple of other programs open, and there it was. So I need to close some of those programs so that I have more virtual memory RAM available for my Unreal Engine. Okay, this was the error. So it's not that important, so that's the only thing you have to do. If you get this error, make sure that unnecessary programs are closed. And that's what I needed to do, making sure that unnecessary 3ds Max and Photoshop and other programs are closed. So that's what I'm going to do now, making sure that I have enough virtual RAM available. All right, so in order to create the glass material, I'm going to go to my content browser first. Let me navigate to the all folder and then go inside shader, right click, create a material, call it glass. Like before, double click on it. Now we have a lot of options here that we can work with, but the main one to create the glass is opacity. Okay, so the main option or setting that we have to manipulate to get the glass is opacity, and making sure that we can just turn it into a translucent object, and then we're gonna take it from there. So right now, a couple of things that you have to do. You have to go to the left panel, go on the blend mode, making sure instead of opaque, it's on translucent. So click on translucent instead of opaque. Make sure that that is selected. And for if you go scroll down on the translucency tab, lighting mode should be on either surface translucency volume or surface forward volume. So this surface translucency volume is always, most of the time it works for most of our scenes, but if it didn't, go to the last one. Now after I made those changes, opacity is not grayed out anymore, and we can just use it from now on because we changed some setting. We also have refraction, which is very important. It's the same as IOR in some other 3D software, and we basically determine how much refractive our object is in relation to the light that it gets. So the first thing that I want to do is to create a simple value node, add it to my material slate and link it into opacity. Right now in terms of color, it's at black, and whenever the color is black for opacity, we have 100% transparency and translucency, so the 100% of light gets through. Now I want to convert this into a parameter. I call it OPA. Okay. All right, so I save everything and apply it and go back to my viewport. I want to give it to this material, so not that one. Let me just do it again, this table here. All right, so let's wait for it to be loaded. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to create an instance from this because we made it into a parameter, and I'm going to give it to this material. Alright, so right now I have trouble selecting this table, this object here, and it's giving me some problems, but don't worry, I'm going to put the view mode on wireframe for a second so that we can just select it more easily. It's this one. Alright, okay, it's selected now. Go back to lit, and let's drag that instance material and give it to this object. Now as you can see, because it's 100% transparent, it's almost as if it doesn't even exist. Okay, so it's like there's no glass table at all because we have pitch black, which is 100% low. Let's just change this, increase it little by little, and then as you can see, we are seeing more and more of that glass table. The more I increase that value, the more opaque and less transparent it gets. And as you can see, it's just completely opaque now at 1. It's at 0.5 now, half transparent. Okay, right now we are using a simple value. We can have a texture or even a color to determine the amount and the type of opacity that we want to have for that material. Okay, all right, so dealing with glass, we have to remember that they are reflective too. So right now they are reflecting some stuff that are near them as well. Now I want to get rid of this opacity value and start working with Fresnel function. Do you remember Fresnel function? We worked with it in the previous session. So basically, let me just search for it, Fresnel function, drag one here, link it into opacity. And with Fresnel function, the way it works is that when we are looking at something which is in our straight view, in our direct line of sight, right now it's going to be completely transparent, but the more we go to the sides, it's going to be more opaque and less transparent. Okay, so we're going to start working at our glass table with this. Let me just apply it, go back to main. So if I go to a top view of this glass table, it's 100% transparent. Okay, it's in our direct line of sight, we cannot see it even, but from the sides we see more and more of it, so it's less transparent from the sides and it's more opaque. Okay, so this is how it works with Fresnel function. Okay, so we have this option as well. Let's go back. Now I want to make some changes here. Okay, I want to make this less exaggerated so that when we are having a top view, we could see some parts of the glass, and when we are looking at from the sides, it's kind of transparent as well. So let's start doing that. I'm gonna do that by adding a lerp. So I'm gonna create two node values, one for A, one for B. Okay, and I'm gonna link the Fresnel function into alpha of the lerp and lerp into the opacity of my material. Okay, so we are using lerp now. All right, so the center or the black part is gonna be determined with A. I'm gonna put a number, for example, 0.2 for the blackness or the black color of it. And the sides or the whiteness, I'm gonna put a value like 0.7, and you're gonna see what I mean in a second, okay? So this is the globe in the center, 0.2, in the sides, 0.7. So if I change the center for the value as 1, you can see what I mean. So it's black in the center and less black at the sides. So let's put 0.2 again, or 0.3. Let's apply and save and go back and see what it looks like. Okay, so right now from the top, we are seeing more and more of the glass table compared to before, and from the sides we are seeing less compared to before. So this is how lerp works with Fresnel function, which in my opinion is a very good option when creating sophisticated glass. Okay, so you can always change these numbers for the lerp. So the next thing that I want to do is to choose a color. For the space color, I'm gonna link a simple value to it at 0. I'm gonna make it 1 so that it's white. I'm gonna apply it and go back and see what it looks like. Okay, it should be white now. There. Okay, it's a little strange using white for this glass, so I'm gonna go back, choose a smaller value so that it's less white. 0.5 would be good. Let me just convert it into a parameter, call it color, so that we can change it in real time later on. We can do the same thing with these other values like lerp, so we're gonna do that in a second. So we have opacity, we have base color, we have to do something for roughness, metallic, and refraction too. So I'm gonna add a simple value for roughness. For now it's gonna be at 0. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna convert this into a parameter later. 1 for metallic, 2, it's gonna be at 0 again. And then we're going to convert this into a parameter metallic. Let me just name it first, and also roughness. I'm gonna name this into ROU. So these are parameters now. And for our refraction, we can use the same lerp that we used for our opacity. So I'm gonna copy it, Control C, Control V, and put them here and link this into refraction. Okay. Now we need to convert these into parameters too, so that we can change everything in real time. Let's start with opacity and A and B. A was the center or the front part. I'm gonna call this front. It's better if I put opacity there as well. Front opacity, let's say the center opacity, front opacity, whatever. So from the sides, I'm gonna call it left, let's say left, or the side left opacity. So these two are parameters now. And when I move on to refractions, same thing, front, let's say refraction. Okay, and I'm gonna convert B into a parameter as well, left refraction. Okay, don't worry about the names. So everything is a parameter now. I'm gonna save everything, apply them, and go back to our scene, to our main, and see how everything works together. Okay, let's wait for it to be loaded. There. All right, so let's start working on this. So let me just dock this panel or place it on the right side. So right now, the view that we get from the front and the side is different, and that's how it's supposed to be. So let's start working on some of these parameters that we made. Let's just start with roughness. Okay, so I'm gonna enable roughness and increase it, and as you can see, if I put it on 1 or anything above, it's gonna be opaque and not reflective at all. What else we have? We have front opacity and left opacity. So let's just start changing these. Front opacity at 1, it's gonna be opaque from the top view. Left opacity is 0.7, so we are seeing something. So from the top view, it's opaque, not transparent at all. So when it's at 1, if I change it to 0.1, you can see it's transparent again, and that's how this front opacity works. Okay, so I'm gonna put 0.2 or 3, 4 would be a good number for it. Now let's check it from the sides. Left opacity of 0.7. So let's put 0.6. It's a nice value for the sides as well. So this is how opacity works. And let's see. We can change the base color. Let's change this to 0.1, a smaller number. Okay, so it's less white now. Looks better, I think. Okay, and we have also refraction, front refraction and left refraction. So let's see how the changes work with these. So for front refraction, this is what it looks like with the value of 1. Okay, looks good. And for the sides, left reflection, let me just make it bigger and smaller, and you can see the changes. So I think 0.2 would be a good number for the side, or the left refraction as we called it. Okay, so all right, our glass table doesn't look that bad after all. So we talked about roughness as well, the amount of reflections. So metallic is not gonna be that apparent on this glass material. Generally, metallic doesn't really go well with glass. So even if I change this, we're not gonna see that much of a difference. So we're not gonna work with metallic that much for our glass table. So the rest of the important items or options were roughness, refraction, and opacity. These were the important ones. Right now we can see this white light here on the tables, and we don't have good reflections for the items that are placed on the table. And I generally blame the lumen lights that are not that good, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to be fixed and improved in the next versions. And I'm going to show you how this glass material looks on these lights, these hanging lights. So I'm going to put this into wireframe. I'm going to try to find the respective material and give this material instance of glass to it. Okay, let's try these. Not working. Let's see. Let me just select them again. Okay, so the hanging lights, let me just try these materials. I'm going to drag the instance onto them. Okay, there. So you can see that we just put the glass material that we made on these hanging lights, but it doesn't look that good, to be honest. So it doesn't suit these hanging lights, and we need to make some changes to them. Let me just drag it into the right one as well. Okay, there. So they don't look that good, and we have to make some changes for them to look good. But let's go back to our glass table and do something about the reflections of the items that are placed on the table, which are not that good at all. So, all right, what we're going to do is to go to visual effects and add a planar reflection. Okay, so I'm going to drag one into my scene. I have to change the scale and the placement. Okay, so I'm going to put it here where my glass table is. I'm going to have to put it exactly where that glass table is situated. So I'm gonna fix it now. Okay, and now I'm going to change the scale so that it kind of covers the table only. Okay, so this plane, this reflective plane, is going to help us with the reflections of the stuff that is placed on the table. Okay, so I'm going to use these control buttons for transform to make this smaller and make it the same size roughly as my glass table is. Okay, something like this. And if I press G on my keyboard, go to game mode, you can see that now we have some reflections of the stuff that is placed on the table, and our table looks more realistic. But before you do that, make sure to go to project setting and in the search bar, search for planar. Okay, and make sure that this option is enabled for you. So this has to be check marked. Okay, so if you change this, you have to restart Unreal Engine, but make sure that this option is checked if you want to use a planar reflection for your scene. So I had this checked before, so I'm going to close it. And if we take a look from the sides, from the top, you can see that our reflections are more realistic. We are seeing a reflection of the book, the ashtray, and some other stuff that is placed on the table. So let me just change the placement slightly, change the size. Okay, make this a little bit bigger. All right, so we are in the game mode, and you can see the beautiful reflections that we have from the book and the other stuff that is placed on the table. All right, now that we have better reflections on the table, we can change some of those parameters that we were working on before so that we would even have a better looking glass table. So I click on it, go back to the material. Let me just make it smaller, put it to the side. For example, front opacity and left opacity. I'm going to change these values for left opacity, I'm going to put 0.3. For front opacity, I'm going to put a smaller number, 0.1. Looks better instantly. Okay, and I can even make these values smaller so that I think the table would look even better. So for front, I'm going to put 0.05, and for left 0.1, and we get this thick glass looking table. I'm going to put this in game mode, and you can see how much more realistic and how much more beautiful this glass table got. It has reflections, it's thicker, and it's just beautiful. All right, next I'm gonna change the metallic from 1 to 0. We don't need it anymore. Okay, it looks better even. And let's take a look from this angle, and let's see what else we can change. For roughness, I'm gonna make it 0.1 or 2. 2 would be better so that it's not that reflective. It looks great in my opinion. And let's see it from the top. Okay. All right, I think I may need to make the front opacity bigger. For example, 0.08, even bigger. Okay, 0.1, so that we can see it more. Okay, and for the sides, I'm gonna make it even 0.1, 0.2, let's say, make it bigger. Okay, and it looks great. It looks gorgeous, and I'm pretty happy with the results for now.